AP Physics Summer Program. This is Lesson 5 on vectors. So a vector is an arrow used in math and science. A vector has two parts: direction, and the variable stated by the vector is going in a specific direction, and magnitude, that is how much or how big the numeric value is, and that's represented by the length of the vector. So in a one-dimensional sense, you can add and subtract vectors just like regular numbers. So if a car is moving to the right with a velocity of 10 meters per second, it could be represented by the following vector. If another car is moving to the right at a velocity of 20 meters per second, it could be represented by the second vector. So the second vector should be pointing in the same direction, but should be twice as long as the first vector if it represents twice the velocity. So both vectors show magnitude and direction. Notice that the 20 meter per second vector is twice as long as the 10 meter per second vector. This is how you show that 20 meters per second is 2 times as much velocity as 10 meters per second. Vectors can be added and subtracted from each other. So this bus is moving at 10 meters per second. Stick Boy is walking towards the front of the bus at 2 meters per second. Therefore, Stick Boy is moving at the bus's velocity added to his walking velocity, 10 plus 2, that would be 12 meters per second. If Stick Boy is walking toward the back of the bus at 2 meters per second, what is his net velocity? Again, net means you add or subtract the vectors. In this case, you subtract. So 10 meters per second minus 2 meters per second equals 8 meters per second. When you add or subtract two numbers, the answer is called a net result. In the example above, 8 meters per second and 12 meters per second is called the net velocity because it is the addition or subtraction of two velocities. Now question, why is the going to the right considered the positive direction and going to the left considered to be the negative direction? And the answer is it's arbitrary. You can choose which way is positive and which way is negative. Naturally, we tend to think in math class on a number line, the numbers going to the right are positive and to the left are negative, but it doesn't have to be that way. You get to choose. All right, so that takes care of a very short lesson on one-dimensional vectors. It doesn't seem like vectors are really that useful because you could have just added or subtracted the numbers, but when we have quantities going, magnitudes and quantities, vectors going in different directions, then vectors can be very helpful.